Cold open with intensity. Imagine waiting 3 years just to know if you can legally work in America. Picture families separated, careers stalled, and dreams suspended in bureaucratic limbo. Right now, thousands of immigrants are living this nightmare as USCIS processing times spiral out of control in 2025. If you've checked your case status obsessively, refreshed the USCIS website at midnight hoping for updates, or wondered why your neighbor filed months after you but already got approved, you need to hear this. The immigration system isn't just slow anymore. It's broken. And today, we're exposing exactly why your I-485, I-130, or I-765 is stuck in processing hell. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, we break down immigration news that actually affects your life. Hit that subscribe button because understanding these delays might be the difference between making informed decisions and wasting years in uncertainty. Let's dive into what's really happening behind the scenes at USCIS in 2025. The numbers tell a disturbing story. Employment-based adjustment of status applications, those critical I-485 forms that transform temporary visa holders into permanent residents, are now taking anywhere from 18 months to over 3 years to process. Family-based I-130 petitions have ballooned to processing times that can stretch beyond 2 years for immediate relatives. And if you're in other preference categories, you're looking at waits that can exceed a decade when you combine petition approval with visa availability. The I-765, your ticket to employment authorization that used to process in 3 to 5 months, now routinely takes 8 to 12 months or longer. That means a full year of sitting on the sidelines, unable to work, unable to contribute, unable to build the life you came here to create. But why is this happening? The first culprit is a perfect storm of overwhelming demand meeting insufficient resources. The pandemic created a massive backlog that USCIS never truly recovered from. While offices closed and interviews were suspended in 2020 and 2021, applications kept flooding in. When operations resumed, the agency found itself drowning in millions of pending cases. Fast forward to 2025, and despite hiring efforts, USCIS simply doesn't have enough adjudicators to handle the volume. We're talking about an agency processing over 8 million cases annually with a workforce that hasn't scaled proportionally to meet demand. The situation gets more complex when you understand how USCIS funding works. Unlike most government agencies, USCIS operates primarily on fees paid by applicants, not taxpayer dollars. When processing times increase, fewer people apply because they lose hope or can't afford to wait. Fewer applications mean less revenue. Less revenue means USCIS can't hire more staff. It's a vicious cycle that perpetuates itself, and immigrants are caught in the middle, paying higher fees for slower service. Technology failures have compounded these problems dramatically. USCIS has attempted to modernize its systems, transitioning to electronic filing and digital processing. In theory, this should speed things up. In practice, it's created chaos. The electronic immigration system has been plagued with glitches, crashes, and inefficiencies. Adjudicators report spending more time fighting with computer systems than actually reviewing cases. Documents get lost in digital limbo. Cases are incorrectly routed between service centers. The promise of technology improving efficiency has, in many instances, done the opposite. Then there's the issue of policy changes and increased scrutiny. Over the past several years, immigration policies have swung like a pendulum with each change in administration. Heightened vetting procedures, requests for evidence that have become standard rather than exceptional, and layers of additional security checks have all contributed to slower processing. While national security is undeniably important, the current system often applies maximum scrutiny to routine cases that once moved smoothly through the pipeline. An I-765 application from someone who's been in the country legally for years on an H-1B visa now undergoes the same intensive review as complex asylum cases, creating bottlenecks everywhere. The geographic lottery adds another dimension of frustration. Where your case gets processed matters enormously. The National Benefits Center, Texas Service Center, Nebraska Service Center, and various field offices all have wildly different processing speeds. File your I-485 and it gets assigned to one center where cases are moving in 12 months, and you might be lucky. Get assigned to another where they're still processing cases from 2 years ago, and you're stuck. There's no logic to it from an applicant's perspective, no way to choose your processing center, and no real transparency about why one location is overwhelmed while another moves faster. For those stuck in I-485 adjustment of status limo, the consequences extend far beyond mere inconvenience. People can't travel internationally without risking their applications because advanced parole documents take months to arrive. Career opportunities evaporate because employers won't hire or promote someone whose immigration status remains uncertain. The psychological toll of living in perpetual temporary status, unable to plan beyond 6-month increments, affects mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. Green card holders can sponsor family members, but I-485 applicants in waiting can't, meaning family reunification gets pushed further into an uncertain future. The I-130 delays create their own special kind of heartbreak. These are petitions filed by U.S. citizens and permanent residents for their family members. We're talking about parents separated from children, spouses living on different continents, siblings who haven't seen each other in years. The current processing times mean a U.S. citizen filing for their spouse might wait 2 years just for petition approval before even beginning the consular processing or adjustment of status phase. For those in preference categories like adult children or siblings, the combination of processing delays and visa retrogression creates waits measured in decades, not years. Families grow old waiting. Children age out of eligibility. Parents pass away before reunification happens. The I-765 employment authorization crisis hits particularly hard because it strips people of their ability to be self-sufficient. Highly skilled professionals find themselves unable to work despite having jobs lined up. Spouses of work visa holders who previously had employment authorization watch their careers die during renewal gaps. Students transitioning to optional practical training after graduation face months of unemployment after investing years and tens of thousands of dollars in American education. The economic impact isn't just personal. It's a loss for American businesses desperate for talent and for the economy that could benefit from these workers' contributions. Some people have found workarounds, though they're imperfect and often expensive. Premium processing exists for certain petition types, allowing applicants to pay an additional fee for 15-day processing, but it's not available for I-485s or I-765s where delays are most acute. Congressional inquiries can sometimes shake loose stuck cases, but this requires knowing how to contact your representatives and having them willing to intervene. Immigration attorneys can file mandamus lawsuits when cases exceed normal processing times by egregious margins, but litigation is expensive and time-consuming, adding another layer of cost to an already expensive process. USCIS has announced various initiatives to address the backlog. They've hired additional staff, opened new processing centers, and implemented triage systems to prioritize certain case types. Some improvements have materialized in specific categories, but the overall trajectory in 2025 remains troubling. For every announcement about reduced processing times in one area, delays seem to worsen in others. The fundamental problem remains that the system is trying to process 21st-century immigration demands with infrastructure, funding models, and staffing levels that haven't kept pace. Looking at the bigger picture, this isn't just an administrative inconvenience. America's competitiveness depends on attracting global talent. When skilled workers face years of uncertainty, when families can't reunite, when the immigration system becomes a black hole of delays, people make different choices. They go to Canada, Australia, or Europe, where immigration pathways are clearer and faster. Startup founders build companies elsewhere. Researchers take their talents to universities in other countries. The processing time crisis has ripple effects that extend far beyond individual frustration into America's economic and innovative capacity. What can you do if you're caught in this system? First, documentation is everything. Keep meticulous records of every filing, receipt, communication, and status update. Check processing times regularly on the USCIS website and know where your case stands relative to their posted estimate. If your case exceeds normal processing time significantly, consider reaching out to the USCIS Contact Center, though be prepared for generic responses. Contact your congressional representative's office. Many have dedicated staff for constituent services who can submit inquiries on your behalf. Join online communities where applicants share information about processing patterns and approval waves. Knowledge is power when you're navigating this maze. Consider consulting with an immigration attorney, especially if your case is approaching or exceeding posted processing times by significant margins. While attorneys can't make USCIS work faster, they can identify issues in your application, advise on whether legal action might be appropriate, and communicate with you, CISA, in ways that sometimes yield results. Don't let desperation push you toward immigration scams or unauthorized consultants promising fast-track processing that doesn't exist. Most importantly, build resilience for the long haul. The emotional toll of immigration uncertainty is real, and it's okay to acknowledge that this situation is incredibly difficult. Connect with others going through similar experiences. Maintain your life and relationships as much as possible despite the uncertainty. Document your journey because someday, when you're finally holding that green card, you'll want to remember how far you've come. The USCIS processing time crisis of 2025 isn't going away tomorrow. Systemic problems require systemic solutions, and those take time, political will, and resources that remain uncertain. But understanding what's happening, why it's happening, and how to navigate it gives you back some measure of control in an uncontrollable situation. If this video helped clarify what's really going on with your immigration case, smash that like button. Share this with anyone stuck in processing limbo because knowledge shared is stress reduced. Drop a comment below telling us how long you've been waiting and for which form. Your story matters, and this community is here to support each other through this broken system. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because we'll keep bringing you updates on processing times, policy changes, and everything else you need to know to navigate your immigration journey. Until next time, stay informed, stay patient, and remember that your case will eventually move forward. Thank you for watching.